Have you ever wondered why people are leaving the UK? In this video, we will explore the main reasons why many individuals have decided to bid farewell to this country and relocate elsewhere. However, please bear in mind, while every point that we are going to discuss could influence one's decision, we may never uncover the profound reason why someone decided to leave their country, their life, their family and friends, everything they had, and move to a foreign land in search for a better life. If you are a foreigner considering moving to this country, some of the things that we are going to discuss today may deter you and change your mind, so be careful. In preparation to this video, I conducted some research and sifted through a lot of information to cover as much as possible. So I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It helps me to grow my channel and prepare more videos for you. One more thing. I want to state that I love this country and moving here was my decision and my dream. You can see it from the name of my channel. So for every reason that I found why people are leaving the UK, I'll give you my thoughts about that, because everything is not that straightforward and obvious. If you agree or disagree with me, please tell me in the comments. And now let's go and see what causes people to leave the UK. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the cost of living. If you have already watched my video, How Much I Spent in the UK, you know approximately how much it could cost you to live here. If you haven't watched it yet, I will leave a link to it at the top of this corner so you can watch it later. I reckon it is fair to split this category into 4 key areas: housing prices and rent, food and home essentials, pubs, restaurants and alcohol, and services. Having a minimum salary in the UK, you won't be able to live comfortably. It is probably just a level of survival. With this salary, you will struggle to rent something except just a room in a shared flat. I'm not even talking about buying a property. The housing prices are rising all the time. To lead a somewhat decent life, you likely need a partner earning similarly. To buy a house, you have to earn much more, but even start renting something is not easy. You have to have a full-time job and pass the financial check. And you have to be lucky, because there is a competition for every property. And people continue saying that there are not enough houses built for everyone. But this is not true. There are so many empty houses in London, and they are empty because the landlords want too much money for them. Also, there are many places where there are enough houses and the price is affordable, but people simply don't want to live there. So you either pay a lot and compete with others, or live in less popular places. The other complaint is about food prices. I live in this country only a few years, so cannot say how it was 10-15 years ago, but I'm pretty sure everything was cheaper, like everywhere else. But now, as for me, the food prices are okay. I usually spend around £250 on groceries, but I mostly cook at home and try to eat healthy food. But what I don't usually do is eat at restaurants or go to pubs. I mean, I go there, but only for some kind of a special occasion, but not on a daily or even weekly basis. Dining out or pub visits can dent your wallet. A pint at a pub costs around £6. The same amount buys 3-4 pints at a supermarket. Whiskey sets you back £15-20, equivalent to several pub pints. But I think it would be more fair to calculate the prices against hourly wages. In this case, a bottle of whiskey may equate to 2 hours work of minimum wage, and a pint of beer at a pub costs 30 minutes of your working time. Now you can calculate how much it costs in your country. All the services, like for fixing something or the beauty industry, are pretty expensive. A friend of mine called for a locksmith to change a lock in his door, and the bill was £120. To change something in his boiler, it took the master less than 10 minutes, and my friend paid £90. To leave a dog in a dog's hotel one day, if you go on holiday, costs £70. So yeah, I can agree, the services here are pretty expensive. The next point is taxes and salaries. I talked about salaries in my previous video, but it would be useful to mention this again. The minimum salary in the UK is £11.44 per hour, and if you work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, your monthly salary will be £1,665 after tax. And if for some countries it looks like a lot, for the UK it's nothing. But hey, we're talking about minimum salary, and I don't know if there is at least one country where you can live comfortably on a minimum salary, because it wasn't designed for that. The main idea of the minimum salary is for people not to die, but nobody talks about comfort. I think this is in every country, and if you want some additional things, you have to earn more. So often, people decide to go to cheaper countries where they can afford more on a British salary. And if you are a business owner or can work remotely and live in a cheaper country, then yeah, you can afford more there on your money. But if you just moved to another country and start looking for a job there, you will earn a smaller salary because it is adjusted to the local market. So your lifestyle will be the same. But keep in mind that you also have to learn the local language. Otherwise, you won't be able to find a decent job. Believe me, I know what I'm saying. And you will also be an immigrant there and feel all the pain of immigration. And this is not easy. What about the tax system in the UK? I think we have to explain it. The taxes in the UK are 20%, but if you earn more, you will pay 40% or even 45% tax. 45% is almost half of your income. That's crazy! I'm not an accountant and don't know about tax systems in other countries, but let me try to explain these taxes in the UK. First of all, you calculate them and pay by yourself only if you are self-employed. If you are an employee, the company you work for will deal with your taxes. So this is a much easier way than in the US, where you always have to pay your taxes by yourself. I think there are some pros and cons in both ways of paying tax, but the British way is easier, especially for newcomers who are not familiar with the local rules. Now, let's dive into numbers. Here's an example from the government website of how much you will pay taxes. If you go to work and earn some money, the first £12,570 a year is not taxable, because this is the minimum amount of money that the person needs to be able to survive, meaning not to die in this country. Everything that you earn on top of those £12,500, up to £50,000, will be taxable by 20% rate. If you earn more than that per year, from everything that is more than £50,000, you will pay 40% tax. So if you earn, say, £60,000 a year, the first £12,570 is not taxable. From £37,700, you will pay 20% tax, which is £7,540, and you will receive £30,160. And from the rest £9,730, you will pay 40% tax, which is £3,892. You will get £5,838. So at the end of your £60,000, you will get £48,568, and the tax that you paid is £11,432 a year. It sounds a lot, but not as bad as it could be. Yeah, but wait a minute, it's getting worse. Because we haven't calculated the deduction to the national insurance number, and it is 8% from your income if you earn less than £50,270 a year, and 2% from everything on top of it. So let's adjust our earnings accordingly. 8% of £50,270 equals £4,021.60, and from the rest £9,730 we have to deduct 2%, which is £194.60. Together it is £4,216.20 a year. So from your salary of £60,000 a year, you will only get £44,351.80, and the government will get £15,648.20. Holy moly, that's a lot! Again, I have no idea how much taxes people pay in other countries, but that's what we have here in the UK. I know that there are some countries and states in the US where there is no income tax, and people often move there to earn more. Some countries are offered low income tax for the first few years of your arrival. So keep that tax system in mind when you choose a country where you want to move. The next point is National Health Service. Many Brits hate their healthcare system, many admire it. On what side you are, please let me know in the comments. Here's the quote about the NHS of one guy who decided to move from this country. "We pay for this, but the service is poor. Prices for tooth treatment are really expensive here, and they are cheap in other countries." I will repeat myself that the treatment itself is good and free. Yeah, you have to pay for some pills, but that's like everywhere. But the waiting time for this treatment can be an issue. I discussed this subject in my previous video, so if you're interested and want to know more, please check it. Regarding tooth treatment, I can agree that in some countries it costs way cheaper. But again, we have the same dilemma with salaries there. The prices in those countries are cheaper because the salaries are smaller. If you want to go there and fix your teeth, that's fine. Flying there and having treatment can still be cheaper than doing the same in the UK. But if you want to leave this country and move there, be prepared to earn less and then complaining about prices there. But what I have to admit, that the quality of tooth treatment in those countries can be much higher, and that's a painful truth. The next complaint that I found is the weather. I can partially agree with this, but not completely. The UK is big and the weather is different in different parts of the country. The north usually has more rain and colder temperatures. I live in the southeast and the weather is nice here most of the time. The climate is pretty mild compared to many European countries. If you live in Scotland or Ireland, you may tell me the different story, but if you live in those parts of the country and don't like the weather there so much that you are ready to move, maybe just try to go to South England and see the weather there first. In many European countries, the weather has extreme patterns. Too cold in winter, like -20 degrees, and too hot in summer, +45, +40 degrees. In some countries, like Italy and Spain, it could be +50 and 60 degrees, like the last summer. Here, in the southeast of England, it's warm, but not too hot in summer, and on average +10 degrees during winter. I don't even have a winter jacket. While preparing for this topic, I watched a lot of YouTube videos and many people were saying that they moved to Dubai because the weather is so nice there and there is no tax income. They showed lots of pictures and everything looked cool, but then all of them said that they were going to live there only during autumn and winter and then go to Europe during spring and summer because it is too hot in Dubai. So you can see that there is no such thing as a perfect country. And imagine if you have a family and kids, you won't be able to live 6 months in one country and then 6 in another. At some point of time, you would have to select just one country where you would stay at least until your kids are in school. Another tough topic is security and crime level. People here are often complaining about security and crime levels in the UK. To be honest, I don't even know where to start discussing this subject. Here are the statistics on the crime levels in England, Scotland and Wales. And England doesn't show a good trend. If you check the crime level by country, according to this website, the UK was at 79th place in 2022. According to this website, the UK is at 36th place. I have no idea how they calculated this and why the numbers are so different. But on both websites, the US is even further away. It was on 129th place in 2022. Rankings vary, but the UK is safer than many. Thank God there are no terrorist attacks here and massive shootings at schools or elsewhere. But I often can see on the news that somebody was killed or stabbed in the UK. And the theft level is outrageous, and I know the reason why it happens. And it is not because of the cost of living, even though it's high, but there is almost no punishment for stealing something. I have a friend who is a policeman, and he told me that if somebody steals something from a shop, nobody will try to stop them. And if police caught such a person, they might put him in jail for 2 weeks and that's it. I was shocked when I heard this. In other countries for the same theft, you may end up in jail for a year or 2. That friend told me even more scary stories about crime in this country and how police deal with this. But I don't want to even discuss this here because somebody could take it as advice. So let's stop on this. In the UK, the same as in the US, everything depends on where you live. You can live in a nice neighborhood or a bad one. If you want to move to a new place, you can check the crime level in that area on the crime rate website. But I would also suggest to go for a walk around that neighborhood and looking around before you rent or buy a place there. Overall, I feel pretty safe here. With this, let's move to the next topic, society and people. This subject heavily depends on where you live, in the rural area or in a big city. From my personal experience, I can say that most people are nice here. They are smiling at you when they see you and can do a small talk. In the rural area, you feel the spirit of community. You know your neighbors there. In towns and cities, people are more private. You can live in one place for a few years and don't know your neighbors' names. And if you don't like this, you may want to look for a country with a different culture. The last point on my list is politics. Many people complain about politicians and their actions. My stance on this: I don't trust any politicians. I doubt there is a single country where everyone's satisfied with their politicians. We could argue the whole day about different strategies and governments, but it won't make any difference. But politics is one of the reasons why people leave the UK. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm sure that there are other reasons why people decide to move to other countries. Usually it is not just one reason, but a combination. People complain about quality of roads, public transport, supermarkets, you name it. However, the problem is that no country is perfect. There will always be something that you don't like. If you know of such a perfect country, please let us know in the comments. I think everyone would be interested. But to truly understand the country, you have to live there for a while. If you're just on holiday, you cannot see the real life there. You need more time to understand the culture, find a job, start working, rent a place, shop daily, interact with people. Only then you will truly know the country. As for me, I chose to live in the UK and I like it here. Of course, I can see some negative aspects, but also I see positive things. Please share your opinion about the UK or where would you like to move. I think it would be really interesting to read. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I recently started my journey on YouTube and every like and subscriptions means a lot to me and helps me to grow this channel. Thank you for watching, take care!